And now for our top focus this hour, Supreme Court Justice B.V. Nagarathna, speaking at an event on the role of judiciary in empowerment of Indian women, raised concerns over equality between couples and the condescending nature men have towards marriage. Justice Nagaratna, who is known for breaking the glass ceiling and is a champion of women's rights, is slated to become the first woman Chief Justice of India in 2027. Justice Nagaratna also raised concerns over the need for both men and women to realize that they both are important pillars of marriage and men need to shed off their condescending attitude, adding that behind every successful man, there has to be a family and it cannot come through subordination of women in a marriage.
Both women and men must realize that they are the pillars of the institution of marriage. Different pillars serve different but equally important purposes. No family can subsist without a healthy balance of economics or care work. A condescending attitude towards women in the family is the cause of the cracks, and domestic violence and infidelity are the outcome of the emerging cracks. Mr. Nariman always speaks about the right attitude. I would only say that the men must remove that condescending attitude towards women. I feel that marriage and family as institutions are important in India, and that is why we are sustaining as a society. I would like to emphasize that it is high time that the institution of marriage and family is protected and sustained in our country, and that its very sustenance is dependent upon happiness, comfort, and well-being of women, and everybody in the family must make concrete efforts towards that objective. Just as the erosion of the proper and just function of an organ of the state can have damaging consequences on the entire structure of governance, the erosion of the identity of women in the family, in whatever capacity it is bound to cause eventual breakdown of family and marriage. It is often said that behind a successful man is a woman, but I would say that behind a successful woman should be a family.
Now, she also shed some light on the difficulties that women face in the formal workforce, but find it difficult in the legal profession due to a lack of equal division of household work and domestic chores.
Especially women in the unorganized sector or the private sector, once they join the organization, then the question is, a question is asked in certain organization as to when was their last period, because they want to know whether they are pregnant or not. In case they are pregnant, they know that they are bound to go because of maternity leave. In such a case, why should we appoint such a woman? The second thing is, if a woman asks in the private sector for maternity leave, then when she returns, her job is already taken by somebody else. So when she has a child, it means she loses her job. That cannot be the situation.
Now, Justice Nagaratna in her closing remarks also flagged off the urgent need for institutions to help make the judiciary more inclusive and diverse. India hasn't had a female Chief Justice of India, but we have had a female Prime Minister, something that many other nations can boast. Now, we're all set to get our first female Chief Justice of India in 2027. We now welcome our guests to the broadcast. We have Ms. Brinda Adige, who is a women's activist. We also have Ms. Khushbu Jain, who is a lawyer from the Supreme Court. Ms. Jain, thank you so much for speaking to us here. Ms. Adige, thank you as well for joining us and speaking to us here at Mera Now. Ms. Jain, I want to come to you first. The fact that we haven't had a female Chief Justice of India yet, I want your opinion on where you think the problem lies. Why is it that we're only now getting a first female CJI in 2027?
As rightly said by Justice, that we do have number of women in the judiciary, in the lower judiciary, the number are still high. But when it comes to high courts, when it comes to Supreme Court, the number goes exponentially low. That's certainly not just judiciary, but every other sphere, that women at the entry level have broken that barrier and entered, but the moment responsibility seeps in, we still live in the patriarchy side of, family systems where women, when it comes to children, when it comes to family, when it comes to in-laws, have to take care of certain things, and the responsibility that becomes as an added job, that the other professional aspect becomes neglected and they go behind that. So that's where I think we have to come to a level where more women are given opportunity, and they continue to do so till the higher, till the up the ladder. The second problem that comes is the aspect that the entire environment professionally also, not just judiciary but all other places as well, you'll see it's male dominated, and when it's male dominated, the considerations, I'm not saying that it should be female dominated, but the aspect of understanding feminism, the definition of feminism is misunderstood. So one has to understand the entire setup when it comes to women and the problems faced because of that and the added responsibility. Once that has been understood and that has been taken care, and it's an equal opportunity given to women by the male dominated society when it comes to profession also, that's where I think a lot of things happen, and that's where it comes. I think more women should come in. More the women in the judiciary will increase the aspect that people, there are a lot of matters which are related to women centric matters which are related to
Exactly.
domestic violence or rape or other matters. For that matter, they feel little uncomfortable when it comes to this. And if we have more representation in judiciary, in litigation, more the women, it would be more healthy environment, and it would make it more comfortable for women to come in because there would be more diversity. And issues like this will be looked upon. Not that male judges do not look into it or male litigants are not well equipped for it, but an aspect of sensitivity over there comes, or understanding comes more when it comes to this, and diversity always plays a very crucial or an important role, because they do bring in, both the society, both the aspect of it, male and women will bring in unique perspective of their lived experiences, which can lead to more comprehensive understanding about the cases involving gender related issues or other sensitive issues that to an extent affect women directly. There would be also increased representation will also have a can also foster a lot of trust and confidence in the judiciary, and also not just for outside people but also for women litigators. It will create a lot of trust, empathy. The justice has already spoken about the empathy aspect of it. Also, there are a lot of stereotypes and biasness which are still part and parcel of. There was another show by Mirror Now 2 days back which was talking about the biasness that still continues to persist in our society. So those stereotypes and biasness is the aspect which traditional stereotypes is, which are existing in our system, in our legal system as well, and fostering more women judges and more female litigants will foster more and more of equitable and fair judicial process in that manner, and would also fight with these stereotypes and biasness.
Absolutely, Ms. Jain, very well said. We're going to come back to you. I also want to cross over to another guest of ours who's on the broadcast with us. Sadiye, thank you so much for remaining with us. What I wanted to ask you about is that you are a women's rights activist. You have dealt with many cases in the past, many stories where you've had to give your opinion, especially when it comes to the idea of marital rape. Do you think it's going to be possible that during the 36-day tenure of the Justice Nagaratna, do you think it's going to be possible that we're going to see any step forward when it comes to criminalizing marital rape across the country?
Yes, that is the most important question that you must ask now, and all of us must ask, because we believe that, like Justice Nagaratna said, a family is a very, very important and almost a pivotal aspect in our society and in most societies. We also believe and have the faith in the family to support women. But here we are also saying that because of the family, for the sake of the family, the woman must sacrifice, the woman must remain silent, and the woman must not complain. And the aspect of marital rape still has social sanctions, which is seeping into the legitimate and the legal aspects, where the politicians, the legal practitioners do not still believe that it is something that is a crime. A rape is a rape. It cannot be different if it happens inside my bedroom or it happens outside the bedroom. And that aspect is not yet being addressed in a sensitive and a rights-based approach. Because again, we look at this whole component of marital rape as if it is something that must be suffered for the sake of the family by the woman, which means we do not want to accept that women are equal citizens, equal people who can enjoy all their constitutional rights. And everything that Justice Nagaratna said sounds very good, but we need to ask ourselves, what about treating women as equal citizens? Treating women as people who have every right and entitlement as guaranteed by the Constitution. When social sanctions of marital rape are accepted by the legal fraternity or the structures of justice in our country, then it is scary. There is a problem because you do not want a complaint to be brought so that that husband or spouse or partner can be punished for something that happened inside the bedroom. And casting aspersions on the woman. Is she speaking the truth? Is she trying to get revenge? Is she just trying to make some small thing a mountain of a molehill? So that doubt itself is unacceptable. So while we talk of families being supportive, families being the pivot of everything, we need to ask ourselves, families must learn to not be patriarchal and chauvinistic where women are concerned, where marriage is concerned, where partnerships are concerned. With the word partnership itself is equal responsibility and equal privileges and equal rights. There may be talents and abilities that might vary.
Absolutely.
But when we talk of constitutional guarantees, that equality cannot be compromised.
Absolutely, rightly said, Ms. Alige. Ms. Jain, I also want to come back to you to understand more about what your experiences have been as a lawyer, especially considering you're in the Supreme Court. There are many who believe that women not having enough representation even makes a difference at the end of the day. Would you be able to tell our viewers a bit about what your experiences have been like in relation to patriarchy that you've experienced?
If I have to talk personally, I haven't faced any of such things
very true.
in my entire professional life till now. I've started in Supreme Court, and I had been lucky to have seniors who were, though being male seniors, but still the environment I had was nothing to do when it comes to any biasness or such kind of things or the opportunity. There had been instances where I was given more opportunity than my male counterparts who were there with me at times, and for that I had been lucky. But yes, you do see that number speaks. Personally, I have not experienced, but if you look into the numbers, it's been just less than 2% of a increase of women representations in the higher courts. Those numbers are very, or if you have to put it up, there has been never crossed a 10% representation of women in the Supreme Court ever, in the judiciary. So those numbers do speak, and we do see that we do represent, half of the country. So when you talk about that kind of representation, and we talk about equality, we talk about equity, we don't see that in reality when it comes to numbers. If I have to put my experience, it's been 10 years that I'm into practice. 10 years back, the number of women as litigators were very few. And I was being asked questions around other places that, couldn't you get into engineering? Why law? Because, people were scared that legal profession, it's male dominated, women have nothing to do when it comes to litigation. And that was the perspective. But if you see today, you go to High Court, you go to Delhi High Court, you go to Bombay High Court, you will see the number of women litigators have increased exponentially there. But there also you will see that entry level and the women who continue to practice for longer is what we're talking about, that sustainability to continue. And also in the judiciary, that, the district court, if I'll give you the number in the district court of few states, like for example, another number that has come up, like let's pick up Goa, 70% are the women judges in the subordinate courts, followed by Meghalaya and Nagaland, which are 63%. Telangana has increased 7%, so 27% in last 2 to 3 years. So those are good numbers when it comes to subordinate courts. But then we have to look into that this continues. Same like we have it in the schools that, entry level kids do join and then dropout happens. So that's not what you talk about education. How many people continue and pass out till end is what we talk about. So that's where I'm talking that we need We need sustainability here and equity here, and we need that women shouldn't be burdened with those patriarchy thoughts. Now the situation that we are in, and the remarks that you were talking about last, the kind of remarks those were coming from Calcutta High Court, the judges of those kinds, that's where I think puts an alarm that we need diversity. We need women judges who understand these sensitive issues, and those aspects are also looked upon, and we come to a level that these issues like marital rape, issues like gender insensitive remarks or biased remarks do not come, and we come to a situation that these issues do not remain issues. They just go away, and that can only happen when there would be more inclusivity, more women judges, and also the male judges, or the male, not just judges, but other places as well, understand what do you mean by feminism, understand how to respect, understand
Absolutely.
that how to get over that biasness and stereotypes and get out of that patriarchy system, because on papers we have, but in reality we are still lagging far behind.
Absolutely. Ms. Khushbu Jain, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your opinions on this very important topic. We'd also like to thank Ms. Brinda Adige for joining us as well on this very important topic. Now, remember, the average tenure of a CJI in India is roughly 1.5 years. Of course, that varies. But now we also look ahead to 2027, which is the year when India will get its first ever woman Chief Justice for a 36-day tenure. And the impact of this on the legal fraternity is awaited. With this, we're going to be shifting focus. Just a day after a Maharashtra BJP MLA's high-handed